Alright, so we've got our, not ring main, but our loop for the interior lights around the car. It's just coming back up to the front. And I've just put in another 5-way terminal block so that I can bang it up to there, join the ones in from the door, and then also join the grounds up from the mirror before I run just 2 cables rather than all this lot. Just run 2 cables around the back of the dash for the side marker and whatever else. So it's handy to have this in here. We can tie other stuff into it later. Like if I want to put some more footwell lights in, I can just bang bang, put a ring terminal on, screw them in. So that's that. More work in this than I originally thought, but it's getting there. We've got that bit of convoluted tubing on. I've drilled some holes and put some more of these cable tie clips on. There's going to be a junction here, and we've got all that lot left to sort out. So it's not going too bad, to be fair. I've run out of heat shrink though. I've run out of 7mm heat shrink, so we have to use a bit of insulating tape on those. But I've just been sat here this afternoon soldering away. I've got to yank that out when I'm finished and put another one of these wiring clips in there, but we're getting there. Got to put some diodes in the horn, because what I'm going to do, I've got an optional air horn. So when you put the switch on the roof console, it joins up the horn relay for the standard horn and the solenoids for the air tank. So when you push the horn, it does the air horn or not the air horn as well. But because I'm going to wire up this little guy so I can blip the horn on the fob, it's obviously going to be putting power into the other side of the circuit. So where the horn feed comes from the front to the back, we need a diode, which is basically an electronic one-way valve, and then we'll have our feed going in and then out to the horn, so it will feed into this block and out to the horn rather than left and right sort of thing. And then we won't get the truck horn beeping as well when it's drawing loads of amps, because 2 truck horns on the front, I don't know what they are, but they're probably a couple amps, so it saves. You know, we don't even need them because you're not going to hear them when the air horns are going, so it saves them going. I nearly forgot. We want the trigger feed, don't we? But do we want to diode it before or after? So we've just got our 6-amp diode, and you've got to put the silver stripe towards the way you want the current to flow. So that's going to go from the horn into the circuit, but we're not going to get anything back that way. It's like a one-way valve. Right. So here I'm making some common grounds. This is only like 5-amp cable or something, but because they're all LEDs, if you smack all of them on, they only drain like an amp anyway. So these particular ones, all these small ones, I've actually used the cores of Cat 5 cable, because yeah, it's only a quarter of a millimetre thick or something, but it's taking milliamps, so it doesn't really matter. So I'm joining them now. I've got the loom, I've got a bit of space here, so I'm making a common ground, so all the grounds are teeing in. All those side lights come down to here to get a bit of bulk out the loom, because it's quite thick here, and I've only got that small conduit to put it in. So they go and ground there, and all the rest of the lights go on this ground. There's a separate ground for the power outlet panel that I'm going to run in here. So yeah, we're just doing a few splices before we put the convoluted tubing back over it. Put that up there, put a couple of clips in, make a nice job of it. Right. So we're just going to give this a little try, because I don't want to wire it up and make a fucking balls job of it. So we're testing everything as we go, because I've learned that no matter what it seems like in your head, no matter how good it seems, sometimes it ain't. You can believe in your mind 100% that it's right, and then once you've buttoned it up you think, ah, what a cock, you know, why did I do that? And it'd be such a simple little thing like putting a ground where one of the accessories should go or something, or tying in two commons of a relay thinking that they're grounds and or on a circuit board. Right, so that's blue lights, that's alright. And then these should be some little map lights for the rear passengers. So just twist them together. I'm getting some major cramp standing here. I'm too old for this. There we go, look at them, they're super bright. So we're making a slightly more smarter version of this bird's nest. It's not too bad, I feel, look. You know, you can soon get them into a half decent loom. On this T-piece, I shall tape and then round and then up and over and make a join. Yeah. So far I've slimmed it down to near side doors, green pillar lights, common ground, blue rear window lights, rear map lights, 25 amp feed, 30 amp feed. That is a trigger wire for the interior light relay, which we're going to touch on in a minute. This is the green roof lights, which I'll show you in a bit. These are our two switched outputs from the remote control fob, and this is our VSR override. And as you can see, that's everything. I did a bit more lake work last night. We've got a barrier terminal block here. I've took this off for the time being, but I will rivet that back on there. That's a ground, common ground. So we've got our throughs. I'm just making up some more feed cables, some 30 amp feed cables for these relays, because then they're going down here instead of this one. There's going to be an extra input on here, and yeah, there'll be two spares here, but it don't matter. So it's just occurred to me that we're running these two buzz bars effectively from the auxiliary battery, that's fine. But they're 25 and 30 amp feeds. Okay. And I've teed off this one to power the pin 30 of this relay. So when the interior light comes on, I'll just show you, you might hear it. Can you hear that click? That's that relay. So this relay is in parallel with the interior light, so that when the interior light comes on, this relay closes. And on this orange wire, I've got rigged up to the door lights and the puddle lights. And then I've fed that from here, which is 30 amps. So what I want to do now, really, is chuck a fuse holder in instead of that bit of wire, because we do not want 30 amps going through those wires if something shorts out. We'll drop it down and we'll put a little 5 amp fuse in there. That'll be a lot better. So we're just crimping up the what I'd call the green lights, and we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. That's right. 12 including the power. So we've got 12 cores running down this driver's side sill strip. I can't run another core in there, it's just crazy. So what we're doing with these two, which link all of the green lights up on all the pillars, we're just junctioning them on this box, and we don't need to run a whole cable to the back to flick them on and off with the roof console, because in the front footwell anyway I've got a like a feed and a terminal anyway from the light switch on the roof console for the footwell lights. So what I should do is, when that comes down the driver's side footwell for the footwell lights, I'll just ping a cable across the back of the dash with a couple of others, and then that will obviously feed down from the roof console, drivers and passenger side footwell lights. Then it goes to another distribution block in the passenger side, and it goes round each one. It joins up here and it goes round each one this side. So it means there's a bit of a ring, but it saves a lot of wiring down here for the sake of it. I've got 2 spare feeds here coming from the roof console. Now I've rewired the runs up the A-pillars. There's 4 spare wires, so there's another, well, it's not grounded yet, but another 2 core for the CB radio for the future, and another 2 spare switched lives. So if I want to bang another switch in the roof console, we can have a couple of things down the back here, which looks like it might be necessary. I'll just run you through what each one does. The top one is what I call amber lights, so that's these that light up the back of the cab. The second one is the spotlight relay. So it's fairly complicated, but basically it's to reduce wiring on the roof console side of things. So when you select spotlights, that is a ignition live, which then goes through the switch and feeds a relay in the driver's side footwell, which then closes and lets the high beam from the stalk across the relay and up this wire, which then obviously closes this relay, which is the proper power relay as such, for getting the power to the spotlights at the rear. So there's 2 relays instead of 1, but it's more of a logic thing than a power thing. So that's that. This green wire and this green with the white trace is going to be our VSR override. This blue wire goes to some lights that I'm going to rig up. The yellow wire is currently spare, but that might be used for something in a minute. This wire goes to my blue lights. This wire is the horn, and I've fitted a diode in there so that when we beep the horn with the fob, it feeds the power up to here and it ends up going to the horn rather than back up circuit to the car horn. this is reverse lights, and that triggers a reverse light relay, which has got a couple of like LED spotlights on the back. Now this white wire is fed from the roof console, so you can fire a signal down to the relay to turn them on, or the reversers put them on by default anyway, but there's a diode in there and a diode in this one to stop the reversers back feeding into the roof console, and likewise to stop the roof console back feeding into the reverse switch and that. You don't want to melt that. So diode on each for protection, and this bottom one is a output to our door card lights and our puddle lights. So this is a permanent live from our auxiliary battery with a 5 amp fuse going up to this relay. As soon as the interior light comes on, that relay closes and it comes down this orange wire to these two, which go to our door lights. Okay, and I'll just show you them now. There's one of those on each door and a green puddle light underneath.